Say yes every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, you are in for a special treat because we have the amazing Faith Howard Mooney. She is the VP of Member Engagement at the Mortgage Collaborative. And before we jump into this, I just have to share, Faith and I have certainly been in the mortgage industry for quite some time. And we've known each other from social media and kind of seeing our names, but we never officially met until recently, a little bit ago at the MBA IMB network. And it just goes to show you that, number one, go say hi to people. I don't care if you know them, if you don't know them. I don't care what's happening. If we're at a mortgage conference or we're out somewhere, even if we're not in business, just share a smile and say hello, because I can tell you that since that moment that we met, I 100% feel connected to Faith, and I hope she feels the same way with me. And here she is. We're going to get to listen to her wisdom and learn more about her. And I'm just so excited, Faith, for you to be here with us today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, I mean, we had never met, but we were the only two people, I think, in the lobby at 6:30 in the morning that morning. And it's always just this little bit of risk that I've never been scared of taking, but to walk up to somebody and say, hi, I know you're, Laura, and we've never had an opportunity to meet. And it was one of the most special little moments of my IMB to just have a chance to chat with you for a little bit and meet you.
Yes, and the same for me. It was certainly enjoyable for me, and that's why. So 2 lessons already, everyone that's listening. 1, don't ever be afraid. Go up to anyone, start the conversation. And then the second part, and this is probably the most important for us in business, don't let that conversation go quiet. Keep the conversation going by doing a follow-up, by having a conversation. If you're local, invite them out for lunch or, meet. If you're not, get on a Zoom like we are right now and have that conversation, because we all know the best comes out of the relationships and the connections that we make. So if we're going to fly somewhere and go to a conference, don't just have a conversation there. Keep it going. So Faith, thank you for participating with me and kind of doing this back and forth, because right now this is a teaching moment, not only for everyone out there, but for ourselves. Okay. All right, Faith, you ready? We're going to dive right in. Okay.
All
right. First up, would love to hear. Please share with us either a great piece of advice or something that you learned that to this day you have taken that and applied it into your life. And by all means, if this was a particular person that told you this or shared, let's please give them a shout out.
Yes, well, for sure. And I think that it wasn't a lesson that was something that was necessarily told to me. But it was very early on in my career. I was in a relocation department. We managed accounts that were the top 300 in the top 300 in the United States. So very large corporations that we worked with are people that were relocating. And my boss at the time, Ann Bartoloni, I hope you get a chance to listen to this. It was more modeling that she did for me to kind of show me what was important in the business space. And really, it's a lesson that has lasted with me throughout my career. So some of those things were, we sent thank you notes, and I still do, to people that I've met with. Still do it, handwritten, the old style, if I've got their address and I know where they're at. Handwritten notes to people. She really taught me that it's all about the relationship. It's not about that person, and how to leave them maybe in a better place than where you met them that day. And it was all done with things like, you know, how you talk to people, how you follow up with people, sending them a thank you note, being very appreciative of them taking the time to spend time with you. And so I think it's a lesson that, you know, maybe you can't say that and have somebody understand that, but you sure can model it for somebody and just kind of take them under your wing and show them these are the things that I would do, and then be able to adapt it to your own personal style and how you would like to do those things.
I love that so much. And you know, when we speak about our children, right? When we become parents, we always say, be careful. Matter of fact, I have a 16-month-old granddaughter, and I tell my son this all the time, right? I always say, just remember, she's watching and listening everything. So if you don't want her to do something that maybe she shouldn't do, make sure you're not teaching her that lesson. Well, it's easy to say that with little ones because, yes, you certainly don't want them to follow something that maybe you don't want them to do. But it also applies in our adult life that everyone's watching.
Yeah.
People notice the smile. They notice, yeah, yes, more than ever. They notice the handwritten note, of course. They notice when someone's kind. They notice that little extra that you did. And if you expect to have that come back, right? If you're looking to grow that, it all starts with what we do, even when we don't think anyone is watching us.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you say that, because what ended up happening is my very last day that I was in that job, I was in a client's office with Anne. And that client, you know, we were talking about transition planning and who is going to be managing that relationship then. And that particular client opened her desk drawer and she pulled out every single thank you note that I have ever sent her. She had them rubber banded together and she said, this is what I expect. I expect this. And so that is why it's always resonated so much with me, because until that point in time, which we had worked together for 6 years, so it had been a long time and we had a fabulous relationship and I learned so much from her. So I had serviced that client for a long time, but I had no idea that she kept them and had them in her drawer, and that they meant that much to her, that I sent them. So yeah,
it does mean a lot because, you know, life is not easy. Any kind of life. I don't care who you are, life is not easy.
mhm.
And sometimes you don't even know that when that person receives that card or that message or that text message of I just had someone right before we started recording, I had someone text me saying, we need to get together. I'm thinking about you. And it's a client. It's client. And immediately, like, you have this feeling in your heart of, oh my goodness, like they're thinking of me. Like, this is a client. This is a personal relationship. Like, this is someone that I'm on their mind and we're going to have a conversation. And immediately it hit me. And that's where I want to go with my next question for you. So, okay, you learned this, you live this, you're doing this. Now, obviously, even it's funny when you mentioned the handwritten notes. Before COVID, I was really big into that. And then so many people are now working from home. I don't know where the heck they are. So it's a little different. So I want to use that almost as an example. So as time goes by, okay, so 6 years you've worked in that particular example, I'd love to hear from you. Sometimes what I've noticed, just again in life and just humans, forget our industry, people start out, oh, I'm on fire, I'm going to do this. And then it kind of gets a little lower and lower. And even over time, maybe it gets a little stale where it's not as exciting getting that note anymore because they've gotten the note before. What are your recommendations of how to kind of keep it lively and keep it interesting for yourself and the other person?
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, there's a couple of things there. I think that you have to be consistent with what you do, and then you kind of like are known for that. So, I mean, people know that I wear red shoes. I happen to love the color red. Some people, I used to have red hair, would call me red. And so I consistently at conferences and everything wore red shoes, and people would say, "How will I find you?" It's like, I'm the woman in the red shoes. And so that applies to the same thing with like writing someone a note or everything. It kind of becomes like something that is an expectation of you. And in that note, I would say the most important thing is to recap something that's very personal from the conversation that you had. It's like, I realize what you've got going on in your life, whatever it is that conversation brought up between the two of you. It's a way of showing them that you do listen, you do care. You not only listen, but they were heard, right?
Oh, that's a big difference. Being
Yeah.
heard and being seen is very different than just listening and looking at you.
Yeah, and I think that, overall, I mean, you mentioned that you had just gotten something from someone that was thinking of you and they were your client. Well, those best relationships, they become your friends too.
That's right.
It's not just if you can get to the point where you've connected with someone at the level that you're friends and there's a comfort level there, that's the best way, the nicest way to grow your business, grow your relationships, because it's fun.
I agree.
It's not work anymore.
I mean, think of how many hours and how much time of our lives, just look at our lives, right? How much time in our lives do we spend working, right? So it has to be fun. It has to be fun. We want it to be these long-standing relationships where we enjoy being around each other, right? And it's not a chore to reach out to someone. It's, hey, I sincerely want to know what's happening with Faith, and I can't wait to see you at the next conference together. I mean, that's joy, right? That's fun.
Yeah. And I say that I'm like, I think how I've applied things in my life, I always say that I'm like, I've tried to take the best component that resonates with me of every single person that's been my mentor or my peer. And I'm a person that's made up of all of these other great things about other people and try to adapt those into my life, because I think that you can really take something from almost anybody that they do that you like. And I said it on a call with somebody yesterday. I'm like a work in progress. I think we kind of all are.
I think we all are.
And it's like,
but Faith, that's the way it should be, is we're never done. We're never done. We're never complete. We're always evolving and changing, right?
As is our industry, as are all the other people around us. Yeah, I agree with that completely.
I love it. All right. Well, Faith, this has been phenomenal as far as learning and being mentored and observing and kind of taking all that good out of everyone. Now, what I'd love to hear from you is your own advice that you would like to share with all of our audience. What are your words of wisdom and what you would like to leave them with?
Yeah, I think we just had a really great segue into kind of like how I feel about things, not only in work, but personally as well. I think you have to be a lifelong learner. And it's more important probably than ever now. I did not do this well at the beginning of my career, I would say. You kind of get stuck in your job and it's a siloed thing. And you kind of forget there's this whole other big part of your industry around you that you should probably be learning all these different components. It makes you a richer employee. It makes your lender member happy, or whoever you're working with then. So I didn't do it as well at the beginning of my career and be able to direct my career as much as I would have wanted to, but I've always held the personal belief that you never stop learning. With technology and everything that's being implemented, if you've quit doing that, you become stale. And I think it's also a way of trying to stay young as well. So I think that would be the advice. If someone were coming into the industry now, I would say tap into every single person that you can to learn what they do, continue learning. If there's something that you see that you wonder how it works, don't be scared to ask and learn that.
Be curious, right? Be curious.
fresh. Yeah. I mean, keep yourself fresh and continuing to learn. And I think if you do that both in your business and both personally, it leads to a pretty rich life.
Agreed. I mean, look at our industry. There is so much opportunity. You know, if you're doing one role and you're like, you know what, this role isn't lighting my fire, right? It's not passion. Look at how many different options you have, right? If you don't like this scenario, you can go and you can learn that. And then if that doesn't work, you can go and learn something else. I mean, we have such a vast variety of different segments within our industry. If you're, man, mortgage, real estate, you know, getting people into homes, making a difference, if that's your passion, then you just have to figure out, okay, and the good thing is you can come in one way, do that for 10 years and go, okay, I mastered that. Now I'm going to go over to this segment, right? And now I'm going to focus in here. That's the beauty of our industry. And I think that is phenomenal advice. I completely agree with you that never stop learning, always stay curious. And our industry is filled with so many unique and interesting people, right? Find what I've always found is not everyone is going to connect. You know, some go towards people that you're like, I kind of feel something there. I've got some similarity. This is where I want to go, right? Like maybe this is someone that's in that segment that you want to learn from. Reach out to them. Just remember that there's no big bad person that is going to shame you for reaching out. Now, they may not respond, but that's okay. Go to the next one. And ask the next person, you know, reach out to the next person or go up to them at a conference or look them up and, you know, connect to them on LinkedIn, whatever it is, go after it. Everyone in our industry is willing to help. Just sometimes they're busy. Sometimes they can't. That's okay. Go to the next person and ask that person. But we all want to see us succeed.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and sometimes, you know, when and where and with who those things happen is surprising. I mean, I would say don't be afraid of approaching people that are different than you are or who know something different than what you know.
True.
Because sometimes those are your greatest learning opportunities is by surrounding yourself with someone new who isn't like you, who has a different opinion or a different approach. And it may not be that, you know, whatever they're doing or how they do things is the way that you would do things. But sometimes there's a compromise, like halfway in between. It's like, well, this is what I've been doing, and it isn't getting me to where I want to be. And this is what they do, and that's not naturally who I am. But there's something in the middle here where, you know, I can improve myself in a way that's different than what I would have thought of.
Well, you said it. You said that when you meet people, you kind of take the best pieces. So even going to someone that maybe has a different approach, maybe you're not going to take all the pieces, but maybe there are some really good pieces in there that needed to be added that you might not have learned. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, you have to be genuine and true to yourself as well in business. And you know, we're all a little bit different, but there are very few people in our industry that I've ever met that are not nice.
Agree. I agree.
You know, most people are kind, and I think those of us that have been in for a long time, want new, young people with ideas and everything to come in to the industry. And so, yeah, so I guess I would just encourage people to be brave. It's not really being brave. It's like, what do you have to lose to introduce
yourself? What do you have to lose?
You have a lot more to gain than you have to lose. And so, yeah, I think, you know, coming from the kid who is really, really super shy, that her brother had to stay with her in kindergarten for 3 days.
Aww.
You know, it's like, I think I learned early on that it's like, it's people, and they're just like you are.
That's right.
And they want
That's
some
exactly
that you want. And it's way easier to do things together. You know, when one of our core beliefs here at TMC is that people are stronger together. And I believe that both in our work and personally as well. You need other people in your life that are in your camp, and like you said, is not always easy.
No. And as humans, that's the way we're designed. We weren't designed to be alone. We were designed to be together, working together for the greater good of whatever that is, business, personal, whatever it is. So we were meant to come together and collaborate and work together and help each other, for the greater good of whatever our end goal is. So absolutely. Faith, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom, little tidbits of your wisdom, and keep shining brightly. Keep sending those cards. Keep sharing your smile. Keep lending a hand and supporting everyone in the industry, because we appreciate you and everything that you do. Keep shining brightly.
Well, that is right back at you. Thank you so much for having me today. And I'm so thankful that we took those 5 to 10 minutes to talk not that long ago and have the opportunity to meet, because now I know I'm never going to lose contact with you. So
exactly. Take care.